Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in the market or to just learn from the market. But let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, let's get started. We are looking at the VIX, and it's interesting that yesterday we hit this high of 1806, got rejected and came all the way back down. But as you can see, that was a previous gathering spot for us. We got rejected in this area, came back down, and we created another gathering spot here. So I would say, where are our trouble places for the VIX as of right now? We broke out of this area of $17. So I would definitely watch that area. I'm going to mark that because we created, let me see if I can. We created here a gathering spot for us. And when I say gathering spot, I mean, you see price just came and just stayed in this area here. And it looks like we broke out of this area. So our support was at the $17 range, and resistance was at 17.14. We broke out of that area only to come back down and create another gathering spot. So I would definitely watch the 1688 area for the VIX. So as of right now, that's where we are under the 5 EMA. Finding, our support area 1688, resistance I would say is around the $17 range. Now, where are our trouble places? If we lose this 1688 area, we can come back to a previous gathering spot, which is here at the 1672, and as you can see, it's right here where the 50 EMA is now. So 1672, 1663, and then this ATR trailing stop at 1655. Those are places that I would definitely watch for the VIX. If we break the 1655, just know we can come back to this gathering spot here where we found support here previously at this 1618 area. So those are places to the downside that I would definitely watch for the VIX. Now, to the upside, if we break back above the $17 range, we have a lot of resistance in this area. So I would say above the 1714 area, we could come back and retest this area here of 1738, and from 1738, 1755. And if we break the 1755 area, just know 1770 and again at 1790. Those are places that I would watch for the upside and the downside for the VIX. If we break this 1790, we can come back and retest this 1806 area. The reason that I look at the VIX again is because it kind of gives me a general idea of what's going on with this SPY. And as we see from yesterday, SPY hit a high yesterday of 563.18, only to get rejected on a previous area that we had marked here, right? So it came up, got rejected, only to come all the way back down. And I had the 555.19. We made a low of 554.98. So that was interesting to see us go from this high to this low. We bounced from here, and it seems as if we are having trouble, let's see, in this area of 559.61. So we tested this area once, twice. We tried to hit it again, but we got, kind of got stopped out here. Our sellers were right there to take that price back to the downside. So where are our trouble places for the SPY? As of right now, we are trading in this zone. Price is still in this, between these two gray shaded areas, and support is here at 559.23. Resistance is right here at 559.52. So those are places that I would definitely watch the SPY to see if it's going to break out of this area. So our trouble places to the upside is if we break above 559.51, just know we could have trouble here at 559.61, which the high of this candle was 559.62. So that's a trouble place for us. We've gotten rejected there a few times. So if we break that 551.62, just know 559.69, and the ATR trailing stop is right here at a previous resistance area, 559.85. So I would definitely watch that 559.85 area because we can come up, get rejected, and come back to the downside. So where are our trouble places to the downside? Now, if we break under this 5 EMA and this support area 559.23, we could very well come back down to 559.06, under 559.06, 558.93, under the 558.93, 558.85, under 558.85. It looks like we have a strong support area. In my opinion, I call it a strong support because it's a previous support area here, or gathering spot area. The 50 EMA and the 20 EMA is now at this area around the 558.60. So I would definitely watch the 558.60. I'm going to set an alert to let me know if the SPY break under this area, then it has broken through several layers of support. So under the 558.60, just know that we can come back and retest 558.32. Under 558.32, we can come back to 558.17 area. Under that 558.17, we can come back to the 558.04. Now, if we break that 558.04, we can definitely come back and retest. And now when I say definitely, we could possibly come back and retest 557.91 or 557.92 area. And under the 557.92, 557.88. So that's kind of like a close range that I would watch the SPY if we break this area of 558.63 or 558.64. I would definitely watch the SPY in those areas. Again, if you trade the SPY, I always say trade carefully, right? Because anything is possible in the market. Nothing is guaranteed. So we are now looking at Tesla. Tesla closed at 210.66. We have made a pre-market high of, let's see, the high 213.96. 213.95. So we're in the 213 area. So it's gapped up just a little bit pre-market, right? We see that here. So our gathering spot for Tesla, we had resistance around the 213.98 area. So this would be our gathering spot. I always try to go to the 30-minute chart just to mark my gathering spot. And I normally mark it to where I know when I go to a smaller time frame, this is where it was at, when I looked at it pre-market. So as of now, our pre-market resistance is 213.98. Support is 213.25. Tesla is under that area now. 212.70 is where we are. So I need to remember that level also. So this is our current gathering spot for Tesla under the 5 EMA. So I would definitely say our trouble places for Tesla as of right now under 212.76. We can come back to this level of 211.95, under 211.95, 211.55, under 211.55, 210.75. Under the 210.75, we have 209.94. Under 209.94, we can come back and retest this 209.09. So I would definitely watch those areas to the downside for Tesla. Now, if by chance we decide to go back to the upside above the 213.98, just know that we will have trouble around the 214.84 or 86 area. Beyond the 214.86, we can come back to, I always say this is going to be a lot of resistance for Tesla. We have the 200 EMA, the 50 EMA, and this ATR trailing stop. So if Tesla comes back to the 216.13 area, just know we have a lot of resistance above that. So I'm going to set my alert above 216.68. If Tesla decides to break above that area, we have broken through strong resistance. And just know that we could very well come back to 217.30 and get stopped out here. So I would say trade carefully today. Again, Tesla moves. It normally exceeds its ATR for the day, the average true range, which is around $10.70 per day. And I get that here, $10.74 per day, and that is an average, and Tesla normally exceeds that. So if you trade Tesla today, trade carefully. Let's go to AMD just to see where we are today. AMD was trading in this zone here, and we have pre-market resistance around 153.31. Support was here at the 152.98. As you can see, that's where price has been. Price was here in this area here, and we just broke out of that only to try to come down to this area. Looks like we're finding support at this 152.64. So it came down and it kind of got stopped out in this area. So that's why I always say it's important to figure out, to mark where your support and your resistance is. And if try to keep that, if that's something that you trade every day. That's why my SPY charts are a little bit different, because that's something that I watch every day. But we always want to know where our trouble places are. So for AMD, as of right now, pre-market resistance is right here at 153.31. Support was at 152.98. We broke past that area only to come back down. 152.64 is an area that I will watch for AMD. If we break that level, just know that we can come back down to this area of 152.14. Under the 152.14, we can come back to the 200 EMA, which is at 151.85. Those are areas that I would watch for AMD. Under the 151.85 area, we can come back to 151.48. Under the 151.48, we can come back to the 151.01. And under the 151.01 area, just know 150.67 is within reach. Now, to the upside, where are our trouble places for AMD? If by chance we go back and break through this 153.31, just know that we could possibly have trouble here at the 154.02, which is not far from the 250 EMA at 154.19. Beyond the 154.19, we have trouble at this ATR trail and stop and a previous resistance area, 154.76. So this 154.76 area, 154.81, that's going to be kind of like a strong resistance area for me, because I have a lot of resistance lines here, the ATR trail and stop and two levels here that was previously support or resistance. So I would definitely watch the 154.84. If we break that 154.84, it is broken through a strong level of resistance for me. 155.06, we could possibly have trouble. Beyond the 155.06, we have 155.50. Those are going to be trouble places for AMD to the upside. And let me see how much AMD normally moves, about $7 on average, and that does change, it fluctuates. So either direction, up or down $7. I say if I trade AMD today, trade carefully, right? So let's look at NVIDIA just to see where we are today. As of right now, we have pre-market support, and support is around, looks like we're breaking out of that, 124.97. Resistance is here around 125.50. As you can see, price is just trading in this zone here. So where are our trouble places? That did not help. Where are our trouble places for NVIDIA as of right now to the upside? If we break above 125.50 area, just know that we could possibly have trouble here at 126.13. Beyond 126.13, 126.47. Beyond the 126.47, we have an ATR trail and stop and a previous resistance area, a support area at the 127.59. So I would definitely watch that 127.59, because if we break beyond this area, we could very well come back to 128.35 and 128.55. So those are places to the upside for NVIDIA. Now to the downside, because it looks like it's trying to break out of this gathering spot. This is our support area. See, price came down here and we found support and bounced just a little bit. So yeah, I would definitely watch the 124.97 for NVIDIA. If we break this area, just know that we can come back to 124.57 or, 124.60. Under 124.60, we have 124.41. Under 124.41, 124.31. Now, if we break that level, 124.31, we could very well come back to 123.82. So I would watch those levels for NVIDIA to the downside and to the upside. Under the 123.82, just know that we could, come back and retest 123.50. Under the 123.50, 122.87. 122.87 is the area that I would, if we break those levels, we could very well come back and retest that. And let's see how much NVIDIA normally moves on average now, $6.70. And again, that's in either direction. It's interesting to see it on this daily chart, because we had a gathering spot here. Are we breaking out of this? Are we breaking down from the move that we had up, created a gathering spot only to come back down? Because as of right now, this area of 122.86 on the daily chart is our support area. If we could very well come back down to this 20 EMA at 118.50, considering we went up, moved sideways, came out of the gathering spot, we can come back to the 118.50 for NVIDIA. I can't say when, but I always say, trade carefully, mark your levels, and once it goes against your Y, get out. So if you trade NVIDIA today, trade carefully, right? So I do believe we have some inside day candles for today, and CVX, if you trade CVX, is an inside day candle. That means if we break above this 146.35, target to the upside is 146.75, and pre-market we have made a high of 146.50. So we broke through that trigger, and we could still come back to reach this target of 146.75. Now, if by chance we break under 145.14, just know to the downside target is 144.50. 57. And let's see how much CVX normally moves, about $2.78 per day, again in either direction. So if you trade CVX, it is an inside day candle. Trade carefully today. And let's see, OXY is also an inside day candle, and as you can see, we've already broken through the trigger pre-market. Beyond 46.49 would give us a target of 56.73, which is not far from this 200 EMA at 56.83. So I would say but we could very well reach that target today and probably come up to this 56.83 and get rejected. So if you trade OXY today, it is an inside day candle. Under the 55.91 gives us a target of 55.74. And let's see how much OXY normally moves, about $1.26 per day. And again, that could be in either direction. So if you trade OXY today, trade carefully, right? So let's see. USO is also an inside day, and you see we have already reached that target to the upside. The trigger was 74.19. The target was 74.83. We have made a pre-market high of 75.20. And to the downside, if by chance we decide to come back to the downside, 72.67 would have given us a target of 72.10 area. And that's why I really like to mark the inside day candles, because it kind of gives us a target and it helps build our watch list. So that's why we look at that. WFC, Wells Fargo, is an inside day candle for those that trade financials. So above the 56.40 area, which we are not far from that. 56.40 gives us a target of 56.48. To the downside, under 55.71 gives us a downside target of 55.20, which is right at that 200 EMA. So that's interesting, right? So if you trade Wells Fargo or WFC today, I would say trade carefully. It normally moves $1.26 per day. Again, that could be in either direction. So yeah, today is going to be an interesting trading day. I always say trade carefully. Do not rush into your trades. And once it goes against your why, get out. Live to trade another day. So I'm going to go back to the SPY just to do a recap. Yeah, we still in this area with the SPY. And we are trading sideways or creating a gathering spot. Just know that this level here of 559.15 is a level of support. I have 559.23 or slightly under that. 559.15 is the area I will watch for the SPY. Right now it could go in either